Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome to my stock channel. We're going to do a quick evaluation of stock dilutions, public offerings, not the initial public offerings, but ones after the fact. We're just going to talk about what it does to the value of the stock, how it's perceived by the investor, how it affects current shareholders and future shareholders or potential shareholders. Um, and show the good, the bad, and the ugly here. Um, there's a couple of choices a company has when they need to get more money. Usually they need more money because business is bad or because they have big plans. If they have big plans and those big plans are good big plans, then it'd be a good idea to raise some money and then you can make even more money with it. If it's a bad plan, they're going to raise extra money and then lose money with it. So it could go either way. It depends on how good the plan is that they have planned for the extra money that they are going to raise. Um, this is what happens, though, during a dilution or a public offering, not the initial public offering, but futuristic ones. In this particular example, we got a company that has 10 shares issued. They're worth $10 per share. So the market cap of this company is $100. Basically, they have $100 of cash in the bank and nothing else. So we're just going to use a very simple example. Um, Now, this company's board of directors can wake up one day and go, you know what? We don't have any more money left, and we'd sure like to buy an ice cream machine that'll make ice cream that we can sell to our customers. It'll be a new product and we can stick it on our shelf, and it'll be a good idea because we can add this to the menu and we can sell 500 ice creams a month. And this is obviously probably a good idea. Let's just say if you're in the restaurant business, this might be smart money. But they need to raise $50 to buy the ice cream maker. So what do? They can either go stick the ice cream maker on a credit card and pay interest on it, pay it back one day in the future, or they can just issue some more shares in the situation and raise the money that way. By issuing shares, they don't go onto the credit cards, which is kind of nice. You save the interest, you save your income statement from suffering future expenses. You potentially reduce your future operating costs because it's getting paid for. The bad thing is the stockholder is kind of the one paying for it, and let me show you how and why. In this case, the company wants to issue 10 more shares. They want to double the amount of shares that they have out there. They're currently worth $10 a share, so they're going to have 20 shares total after they add 10 more shares. So once it becomes 20 shares total, here's what it looks like. So here's what that looks like. Now they've issued 10 more shares, so there are 20 shares issued in total. Your shares are worth $5 a share. Keep in mind, you used to own 10% of this company. Now you only own 5% of this company. You only own one share. So they chopped your percentage down from 10 to 5%. The company raised $50, and you are the beneficiary of your company owning one ice cream maker to help future sales and hopefully raise the stock value in the long run. So hopefully, if they did something smart, like adding this ice cream maker might be smart, um, your future sales might be better than they would have been otherwise, and therefore this might suck in the short term, but be good in the long term because the company is going to make more money. Now, after the price falls, because of the dilution, it falls the same as whatever percent got diluted. If it gets diluted by 50%, it falls 50%. Excuse me, if the stock outstanding shares double, the stock loses 50%. issue an extra 10% worth of shares. You can expect your value to fall by 10%. Depending on what proportion of the offering it is, that's how much you'll lose. That's the first thing that happens. The second thing that happens is there's a reaction to this occurrence. There's positive and negative reactions. Positive stock reactions, the company has more potential to earn more money in the future. So people can look at that and say, you know what, we got an ice cream maker now. We're going to do more money later. I think I'll buy a few more shares of the stock, or then that'll cause it to. It might go from your $5, your $10 stock turned into $5. It might go to $6, $6.50, $7. It might go to $8. If they think it's really great news, it might go back to $10. You never know. But there's a positive reaction based on their potential to earn more in the future. If people understand it, the more they understand it, the more of a no-brainer it is. The better that'll probably do. The market cap may increase because the addition of the new ice cream product that you put on your shelves. It's caused by excited people liking this idea and appreciating the long-term value. So by adding this extra product and having this extra plan and spending this extra money, and your $10 that turned into $5 could turn back into $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 again. It could even go to $15 if people really like the idea. The negative reactions are the most common reactions that you get. Not everybody is a fan of every idea. Your negative reactions, owners of the stock lose money, and it reduces the share of the company that you own. Your $10 turns into $5. People don't like that. Stock price goes down in proportion to the new offering percentage, which is what I just got done explaining. If it goes, they issue another 10% of shares, you can expect your price per share to fall by 10%. If they double the outstanding shares, you can expect it to fall by 50%. If they triple the outstanding shares, you're going to lose 66% of your value. For future buyers of the shares, people that don't own the company, they're not directly hurt by it because they're not shareholders. But future buyers, people are fearful of buying a company, a stock that consistently dilutes its shares. It becomes a future expectation. You can look at some companies and say, God, they just continually are adding more shares to the universe every 3 months or every 6 months, or how many times are they going to beat me up? I've owned this company for 4 years, and they've diluted me 4 times. And every time you lost a bunch of money, 10, 15%, 50%, here, there, and everywhere. It can get pretty upsetting, and this becomes a habit. You feel like you're not getting a straight answer from the company. How much money why don't you tell me how much money you actually need to build out your restaurant? Why didn't you tell me about the ice cream maker in advance? Why wasn't this on the list of things that we were buying to begin with? Why didn't you raise more money in the IPO? Why didn't you issue more shares when you started this thing? Why are you coming to it with me, with me now? So there is a little bit of upsetness as to the scatterbrain type business decision that's going on here. It should have been done, obviously, with the toaster and the microwave and the stove and the ice cream maker. The owners of the share, the people are scared to continue owning the stock if they're tired of losing money. Faith is lost because the company does not have the amount of money it needs to afford what it wants to do. And where does this end? And will it end? Do they keep coming back every single 3 months, diluting you again and again and again? And of course, the $50 that they raised, it can be a bad business decision. It could cause the company to lose money. So let's just say you're in North Dakota and it's freezing up there for 10 months out of the year. And the good season, it's not hot enough really for people to desire ice cream. Maybe they're tired of snow. It could be the worst business decision of all time to put an ice cream maker in your North Dakota restaurant. It may never sell any ice cream. You could be wasting money on the ice cream maker. They could be taking up shelf space, room on your menu, um, and it could just be a bad business decision. It could be a wasted $50. So in that case, they'll just have to issue more shares and come up with a new idea. Um, but the key for me is this: is where does it end, and will it end? And I'd like to know what a company wants to do before I buy the company. I'd like to know what their plan is. Uh, I mean, it's obvious that they just want to continually grow, and that's nice. But I'd like you to take a quarter off, maybe once every 5 years, and show us what the company looks like. I want to see what it looks like without you buying new toasters every week, without you buying new products, new land, new buildings, new um, they could be buying chicken farms to supply chickens for the restaurant. They could be buying land for new stores. They could be doing all kinds of things that don't let you see the balance sheet and will never let you see positive earnings. You'll never see positive earnings per share. You'll never know how much the company makes. If you're a CPA and you get their earnings report and you interview all of the CEOs for the company and you get sworn affidavits for what their future plans are, then you might be able to gauge what they're really going to spend in the future. But when will it end? Will they just think of something tomorrow? Um, you really can't even do it if you're a CPA. You have to be Madame Cleo. You have to know exactly. Last month he didn't mention this ice cream maker. That was this month. So unless you're the CPA that went through their books last month and then decided they needed an ice cream maker before the CEO decided that they needed the ice cream maker, you didn't know the ice cream maker was coming. You didn't know you were going to lose money for this quarter because of the ice cream maker idea in North Dakota, which turned out to be a terrible one. But because you didn't know about this idea, you can't evaluate this company. You can't look at it and say that it's going to be profitable next month. It might just very well be profitable next month, but they're not going to show it to you. They're going to go out and buy an ice cream maker instead and let you really not know. And next month it might be a new display case window or some banners or some balloons or a new roof or something might break or I don't know. I'm just the world of hypotheticals is obviously infinite. You can use your imagination. You have necessity, you have upkeep, and then you have the human desire to purchase. People are compulsive purchasers; they can't stop. New company cars. What will they think they need next? That's the real question. Are they the type of people that are minimalist, that live on more minimal means, that can set a goal, have a goal, make the goal, keep the goal, and not just immediately create another goal? You think that they would be curious themselves what they can pull off. And some of these companies, they show off what they can pull off. They want to show you positive earnings. They'll do anything to get a month in the positive. They'll intentionally not buy this coffee maker, or I'm sorry, ice cream maker, just to show you some earnings. Because they know when they do that, the stock price is going to go up. People are going to get excited about it. They're going to be able to sell their shares for more money. When they get their Christmas bonus and get their shares, they'll be able to get more money for those. They care about the stockholder. They care about the people that invested in the company. They want to show you something from time to time at a minimum. If they're not going to show it to you every quarter, at least show it to me from time to time. And then you can always refer back to that awesome quarter and say, as you can see, we're very much right side up, but with this new addition, we're going to be even more right side up. And they can sell it to you properly and you'll have faith. If it's a good idea and they sell it to you properly and you have faith, but you got to show me the quarters. You got to show me not only that A, that you can run a profitable business, but B, you can stop your scatterbrain from coming up with new ideas that are just going to cause you to max out the credit cards or beat all your stockholders up for their equity. So it's a fine line when you're picking companies. Um, I don't know what the world record is for companies that have diluted themselves over and over and over and over and again, because they usually go out of business long before they would potentially finish the cycle. Um, but some of them obviously never end. You've seen them for yourselves. You've been curious. When are they going to hit positive earnings? And then a year goes by and you're like, okay, well, when are they going to hit positive earnings? They said they were going to, be in the black next year. And then another year goes by and it's just 100 million a quarter gone, 100 million a quarter gone, lost. We need more money, another dilution. And then they start maxing out the credit departments, and then they end up closing because they're incredibly diluted. Once you hit the last phenomena of this is the incredibly diluted phenomena where you can't really dilute yourself anymore. And here's the reason why. So in this particular example, your company has diluted itself over and over and over and over and over again. You really don't care about the shareholder. You've just utterly destroyed them. I don't know who's hanging on. I guess now you're in the penny stock zone. You've diluted yourself to death, potentially. You've got 10 billion outstanding shares. They're worth 5 cents a piece. And your goal is to raise some more money. Because guess what? After all that, you don't have any money, of course. And your credit's probably maxed out. You don't want to use any of that. So your goal is to add another 10 billion shares to the 10 billion that are already out there. So now you're going to put 20 billion in the universe, and you're thinking that you're going to sell these 10 billion shares for 2.5 cents each, which is what they would be worth after you've issued twice as many shares. So then they start selling this many shares at 10 billion of them at 2.5 cents each, and the price plummets. Why does the price plummet? The 0.25025 price? Because they're selling 10 million units. They've got to sell all of these. Until they can mow through all of those, a legitimate transaction between a buyer and a seller really can't occur. There are way more sellers than buyers. There's about 10 million shares worth more sellers than buyers right from the day that they do this. So when you enter this kind of a realm, you get to a point where, yeah, you could issue 10 billion more shares. Yes, you could start selling them at 2.5 cents each, but they're only going to be worth 1/100th of a penny by the time you get halfway done. I don't know if that makes any sense because you're selling 10 million of them. There's just a massive sell position on this thing, and anyone buying into this is going to obviously buy from you, and it's going to shove this thing downwards and downwards and downwards from 0.025. Plus, you've really lost faith of the stockholder. So all of the current stockholders are going to also sell. You've pissed them off for the last time. They're margin called. They're getting out. Future stockholders are looking at this like, are you kidding me? I don't want to touch this one. And the price plummets for those reasons and for the basic reason of the new incredibly high supply of shares for sale that they put a sell order in on them. It's like putting a sell order in on 10 billion shares all at once. The world just can't purchase that many, and it's going to cause the price to plummet until they do purchase that many. And the price is going to plummet down to whatever it takes for them to sell that many. It could be a tenth of a cent, or it could be worth half of a cent. This could get really, really ugly if they do this. When you take a half of a cent and you multiply it by the 10 million, this offering becomes worth Not very much. Not very much to even afford whatever they wanted to buy. They're hoping to raise a lot of money, perhaps, but they can issue infinity shares, and it just won't matter. The price is going to fall faster than you could possibly raise money. So you end up with a very disappointing public offering. You're like, okay, well, we did 10 million shares, and they ended up going for a tenth of a cent each. I'm not even going to try to do the math on that, but they might end up with a couple of $1 million on a nutty move like this. Not enough to buy anything. Um, you've pissed off more people. You've ruined whatever shares you might have held as a company have lost more value than you raised. So it becomes uh, dumb for your own personal wallet, dumb for the company's wallet, dumb for everyone. It's just not a good move. You're taking every share that you or your company owns and you're wrecking it, and that wreck will be more of a wreck than how much money you raise. And I hope that explains it. So, the death spiral of a company that continually adds more shares, not a good thing. If they have a legitimate issue that needs to be addressed, like some one-time wild thing like COVID happened, and they need to raise some money just to get through the year, you could say, okay, that's a good reason for them to raise some money, because we don't want their store to close. We don't want them to go out of business. If it's a good one-time purchase, if they can, want to open up that second location, for instance, because the first location is a smash hit, then absolutely, yeah, please issue some more shares and give me 2 locations. We'll have double the revenue. We'll have double the earnings per share. Let's do this. And then let's double it again. And then let's double it again. And as long as you're going to continue to double your earnings, we can double this all day long. Turn a profit, show an earnings per share, do smart things with the money, issue as many shares as you want to. So long as you're doing good things with it, nobody's going to complain. You're going from 8 restaurants to 16 restaurants. The 8 restaurants are just making wonders of money. Then yeah, issue more shares. Go get yourself 8 more restaurants. Everyone will be pissed for a while, for a quarter or two. Then your new restaurants, new revenue will show up. The new earnings per share will show up. Everyone will go, whoa, 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 hold on. I just got all my money back and some. Here it comes, and then you're way better off than you were before. But so that's dilution, how to look at it, how I think about it. Everybody probably looks at this differently. But that's the gist of it. I just wanted to cover it so everybody understood it a little bit better. Watch out for notorious issuers of stock. You can see on the charts, there's a little mark usually down on the bottom that shows you when a dilution happened. If you look at the outstanding shares, sometimes it'll be hundreds of millions or billions or whatever it is. And you'll hear smart people say smart things like, oh, other companies have that many, or other people in their industry have that many. And that's not even really saying anything. It's just a coincidental kind of a thing. It's anecdotal, excuse me. An anecdote doesn't solve what it is. What it is you didn't have enough money, you needed more, you came up, you beat up your stockholder, and you did it in the name of whatever, and I'll never know what you did with it. I'll never know where this company's at. All I know is you chopped my share value in half and you refuse to show a profit at any point. You're not going to let me see one. It's usually done in the name of the one-time expense. Sometimes the one-time expense is ridiculous. They don't tell you what it's going to be. Mullen Automotive, they're an electric car manufacturer. They just got done diluting their shares, doubling the number of shares that were out there. They got $65 million in cash. They issued the executives a $36 million bonus. They've never made an electric car, haven't made $1 in revenue. They've issued stock like 10 times. Just an absolute horror story. It's worth a quarter now, and they have a chassis. They spent 5 years building a chassis. They actually never built a chassis. They waited 5 years doodling, and then they went and bought somebody else's chassis. And they bought half of somebody else's chassis. They don't even actually own a chassis still. They just own half of one. So they kind of have one car part now after 5 years. But they needed more money, and they went and they beat up every stockholder for half of their equity. And then they gave themselves bonuses, and right in the peak of needing car parts, right in the peak of needing windshield wipers. They don't have any rear view mirrors for these cars. They don't have any fenders. They don't have anything, but they have $36 million bonus for themselves. And for that, they decided to award themselves that. And it's just, it's corrupt, it's awful, it's Wall Street, it's capitalism. But the integrity is something you have to look at. Look for the balance sheet. Look for companies that reduce debt at some point in their history. At least you're seeing them act responsibly for a day. If they do issue more shares to pay off debt, yay, it went somewhere. If they raise more, if they do another offering and they raise money, and then all of a sudden you can see that money on the assets line, yay, they did something with it. All right, and it's an asset. Isn't that nice? When they took their $36 million bonus, none of that went on the asset line. So take the companies very carefully. Look at them for integrity. Look at the balance sheet. Look at whether they're able to show you earnings or willing to show you earnings. And that's the big word. Are they willing? Are they willing to show you what the business looks like just for one lousy quarter? Good companies do. They want you to see it for a quarter. They want you to see a positive earnings per share. It sends a warm chill through your heart. It reinvigorates your faith in the company. It makes you say, hey, this thing can be profitable. And they can come out on the earnings call and say, look, we're not always going to be profitable because we're still growing. But we want to show everybody how profitable we can be. We plan on taking this 30 cents per share and multiplying it by 5 by next year and putting out $1.50. That's our hopes and dreams, because we're going to open more restaurants, and this is how we're going to do it. And we're going to issue more shares. Please don't be mad at us, but we're going to do it, and we want these restaurants, and it's important for the shareholders, obviously, in the long run. It's going to be more revenue and more earnings, potentially dividends, and an increasing stock price. But there's my ramble on all the considerations and things to maybe look out for in this realm. Companies that issue too many, companies that don't ever pay off debt ever, companies that can't raise money because they're too diluted. If their balance sheet's upside down, obviously they can't raise money, and that's a good clue that they're done. If you want to know when to short a stock or to not buy a stock, wait till they have more liabilities than assets, and wait till they couldn't possibly issue shares again without just ruining their own lives. So when you see that situation arise, you know they're done at that point, because they only have $50,000 in the bank. They can't raise more. They couldn't get a credit card dime. They're losing money hand over fist quarter after quarter. Yeah, that one's done. So you should be able to look at them, just see how healthy they are. It also helps to find out what they're doing. It might be a great idea, but if they're in that situation, it really doesn't matter what the idea is. They did it so poorly that it'll never recover. But anyhow, just some stock yabble babble. Hope you like the show. Like and subscribe to my channel, please. I really appreciate it when you guys do that. And just trying to help people understand the stock market a little bit better and some of the things that makes it move and shake. I'm James. Have a wonderful night. I'll see you next time.